Hi there, this is Shauna from the Foil Fox, and I am back with you with a new video. It's been a little bit, but I'm glad to be back. And this is a eucalyptus fall bouquet, and I just love that it's just bursting with color. And so we'll just jump in really quickly and show you the things that we are using. This is the Eucalyptus elegans. I love eucalyptus, so this is perfect for me. And it has these nice sprigs and then some sentiments to go with it, as well as a die set. And I'm also using Fall Bouquet, which has this pumpkin and all the things that are associated with fall, with the leaves and wheat, and it just is fabulous. And then it has a matching die set. This is a new Love to Layer ovals. I'm using the middle oval for this one. And here I'm using the border. This is a Border Bling Joy. So you can see you can cut out the word joy, but I'm just going to use the border this time. Then I'm going to borrow some from Penny Black, which is Blustery, and Pine Branch. Both of these are going to help us out with our bouquet. And so the papers I'm using is a white card base. This is an A2 white card base. And then I have a piece of Canyon clay. I'll have all of these supplies. There'll be a link down below. You can go check it out. Then I'm using Ocean Tides. These are colored papers, are from Paper Tray Ink. That's Pine Feather, and then Dark Chocolate, and a piece of white cardstock. And then I have some pieces of watercolor paper. I just am using some ones that I had left over. So I'm going to start out with the white card base, and I'm going to add some glue to this panel that's going to cover the whole front. I'm going to make sure that I smear that glue onto the very edges because I don't want any of the edges lifting up. And then once I put it onto my front here, I'm going to put it under a stack of books, and that's going to act as my press. While that's happening, I'm going to take the Ocean Tides panel. This is an A2 size panel. And I'm taking a blending brush and Ocean Tides ink. Again, this is Paper Tray ink. And I'm just darkening the edges all the way around. I'm going to be cutting this panel out, but it's so much easier to darken them when it's one piece than when it's lots of pieces, because as you can see, this is a very intricate die. And I'm going to take this die and we're going to cut that out. I'm also going to take a piece of white cardstock and cut out that oval. So here they are all cut out. And you'll see what I mean about darkening that before you cut it out, because now you don't have to worry about trying to bend or tear any of your intricate pieces there on the border. And then I'm just going to rub my finger around to get all those white dots out of the die. And now I've kind of just laid it out. I have a piece of foam that I've cut for the back of my oval so I can pop it up a little bit. And then I have my panel that I'm going to just put dots of glue all the way around. Again, making sure that the outside, it sticks down really, really well. I don't want it to look kind of dog-eared or have any edges that are lifting up that shouldn't be. Going to mount that right on top, and now that wonderful rich orange is showing through. Love that. I think right there it just gives it a really fall festive kind of look. Add a little piece that I didn't get out, so I had to push that out, that little circle. And then I'm going to now mount the oval. And once I have this done, I'm going to set it aside because we're going to go on to making the pieces for the bouquet. So I have that Blustery. I'm going to cut some of those twigs out in brown. This is the Pine Feather green with the Pine Branch die. And then I have this set up in watercolor paper, the Fall Bouquet and the Eucalyptus elegans. So here's the Pine Branch. And then I'm going to leave those Blustery ones kind of still in their little place. I don't want them to get bent prematurely. Set those aside. And I have mounted both the Eucalyptus elegans And because we cut them out, if you remember, and I have placed them into my stamp positioner, and I have placed all of the stamps in the right places. I love doing it this way. I think it's a really efficient way to get it straight onto your stamp, onto your cutout when you're stamping, and it also has you do it in a real quick hurry. Now that big pumpkin does not have a solid stamp, so I wanted to get it colored. So what I'm doing this, remember I have watercolor paper, I'm spritzing it with lots of water, and I'm taking the ink cube directly to it, and then just using my brush that has lots of water on it too, making sure that that ink flows really nicely. I don't want it to grab at all because I am taking the ink cube directly to the piece. Sometimes it can do that if it's too dry. So I'm just adding in some orange zest and some terracotta tile. I think that color is just so great. It really gives some richness to it. These are all paper tray inks, but again, I'll have a list of everything that I used here. Now I'm using some cocoa bean around the edges on both the little lid of the pumpkin, and on the edges. And now I just squish down some more ink, kind of using it as my palette. That's why I love using a glass surface, because I don't have to worry about taking out a palette or anything like that. It is just right there, and I can mush ink as much as I want, and create this very interactive, so to speak, palette. Now I used a little bit of ripe avocado there on the end. And I'm going to add just a tiny bit of that ripe avocado to the pumpkin base too. Now I dried that really, really, really well, and I've put that in place now. And I'm taking a Post-it note and blocking off some of them. I don't want to get brown ink where I don't want brown ink. And I'm stamping the lid and the pumpkin with orange zest and the chocolate, the cocoa brown. Once I have that stamped, I'm going to peel those off. You see, I peeled that off, took out the stamp because I don't want it to get buggered up. I'm using Bright Buttercup, which is a really bright yellow, stamping that. I'm going to add just a little bit of the orange zest on the edges. And then I've got these cluster of flowers. You see how I take them away whenever I'm finished with it. These I'm using Autumn Rose and Berry Sorbet. And I wanted to, still fall colors, but a little burst of color too. So I'm using some pinks there. And I have the little center to my sunflower type flower. And I'm stamping that with cocoa bean and a little bit of the orange zest. And that leaves that little leaf. So I'm using ripe avocado for that. And I'm going to stamp it several times so that I get a really good impression. I'm not spritzing it here. Sometimes I spritz it with my sprayer, and sometimes I don't. I wanted it super crisp there, so I'm not. Now I have this leaf. I like the leaf because it's an autumn leaf to be lots of different colors. So I'm just kind of smushing on some brown, some orange, yellow, and green. And it might look a little striped right now, but it won't. Once you spritz it with more water, it'll blend. But also when I add this, the detail. See how I've changed the stamps now to the detail stamp. So with orange zest, I stamped the sunflower, and then pure poppy for those three flowers right there. And the green was with pine feather, the green leaves, and the actual leaf, the larger maple leaf, I used cocoa bean. Now on to the eucalyptus. I did that sentiment, and I almost always use VersaFine Black Onyx for sentiments because it makes a very crisp and impression, and I can just barely kiss the paper, and that's perfect so it doesn't smear it. So I I did that, and I went ahead and set that aside. I'm using Stormy Sea here. I think this is a perfect color for eucalyptus. I'm really spritzing it with water, with a ton of water, once I inked it. So I inked it, spritzed it with a ton of water. Now I'm drying it, and I'm not going to mess with it anymore. I love those colors. For the shading stamps that go over top, I'm using Ocean Tide, and I'm just going to stamp it that one time, and I think it really turned out very nicely. I'm going to, now I've set those, taken everything away because everything is now stamped. Now it's time to arrange everything. So I'm going to start out with my blustery twigs here and my pumpkin. The pumpkin has a little bit of the foam on it, and then the sunflower, I put the center in. I'm just taking all my pieces and I am arranging them the way I think I might like to have them. I like to arrange it first so I have a good idea where everything's going to go, and then I can go back and glue it in. And it, I usually can get very close to the way I had it arranged before. You can see with these pine branches, I am just clipping off little bits of it. So now I got that idea of everything I like, peel off the release tape, and now I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to just start gluing in these pieces, leaving my twigs there, and then start with some glue. And they're going to get glued in just because as I put these other pieces that have a little bit of glue on them, it will stick to the blustery twigs as well. So I'm just, this is the time to tweak, tweak, tweak. You see, I got almost everything added in now, tucking in my last little bits and gluing them. I have my sentiment there already, and I can't help but just doing a little bit more arranging, but I think that we pretty much have it there. And so here is the card all finished. Now I'm in love with these colors because they are just scream autumn to me, and it's just so festive. I can't wait to send somebody this bouquet. And I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you did, please give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. And then here are a list of just a few of the things I used: the Eucalyptus Elegant Stamp and Die Set, the Fall Banquet Stamp and Die Set, the Border Bling Joy Frame, and the Love to Layer ovals. But like I say, there's a link down below. It will take you right to see all of the supplies that I used, everything. And so don't worry, you don't need to write them all down. That you can just pop over there and see them all. I want to thank you so much for joining me today, and I have another video coming up real soon, so I hope you'll join me. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.